What if I told you that the very struggles trying to break you are the same forces shaping the strongest version of you? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes you'll discover why strength is born through challenge, why leadership thrives in adversity, why unity defines true power, and why growth is the ultimate answer to criticism. In a world where voices clash and nations collide, a single declaration can ignite hope or fuel division. Today, Melanie Jolie has stood tall, not in anger, but in strength. She reminds us that adversity does not weaken a people, it forges them. Canada rises, not in silence, but in resilience. And in the echoes of her words, we find a lesson for us all. The true power is not in what is taken, but in what is built. Strength is not something that arrives in silence or something that simply belongs to the lucky few. It is not a gift wrapped neatly and placed in our hands. Strength is something forged, something carved into the soul by the weight of challenge. When life presses hard, when the walls close in and there seems to be no way forward, that is where strength begins to reveal itself. It is easy to smile when the road is smooth, when the path is lit, when the journey feels safe. But the true measure of a person does not come in comfort. It comes in the moments when fear whispers, when obstacles tower, when doubt circles like a storm in the night. That is where strength is born, in the struggle that refuses to be ignored. Every great nation, every leader, every individual who has ever left a mark on history carried scars from the battles they endured. Challenges shape us in ways that no easy moment ever can. They stretch the mind, harden the resolve, and teach the heart that survival is not enough. We are meant to rise. A seed only grows after it breaks, after it pushes against the weight of the earth. A diamond is created under unimaginable pressure. And a person, too, finds their power only when life dares to test them beyond what they think they can endure. It is within these trials that resilience takes root. Imagine being told that you cannot, that you are too small, too weak, too unprepared. At first, the words sting, but then something else happens. A fire begins to burn inside. A refusal to accept defeat begins to build. That fire becomes the fuel to push harder, to climb higher, to continue even when every muscle screams for rest. Without the challenge, that fire never lights, because the barrier, the breakthrough never comes. The truth is that strength and struggle are inseparable companions. You cannot ask for one without welcoming the other. To avoid difficulty is to avoid growth. To hide from challenge is to remain the same. Life has a way of placing us face to face with trials we did not choose, struggles we did not ask for, storms we did not see coming, yet each one of these carries within it a hidden gift. The chance to discover just how strong we truly are. Consider the moments in your own life when you felt broken, when you thought there was no way forward. Maybe it was losing something precious. Maybe it was being told no when your heart was set on yes. Maybe it was watching doors close one after another. In those moments, you may have felt small, powerless, undone. But then time passed and you realized something remarkable. You survived. You endured. And not only did you endure, but you carried a new strength, a deeper wisdom, an unshakable belief that if you could get through that, you could get through anything. Strength does not make the challenge disappear, but it changes the way we face it. It allows us to stand tall when the storm hits. It teaches us that failure is not final, that pain is not permanent, that fear is not the end. Each challenge is like a weight in the gym of life, heavy and painful at first, but with every lift, with every push, the muscles grow. So too does the spirit. growing stronger with every test. And when we face those challenges, not alone but together, something even greater happens. Collective strength emerges. Communities rise, nations rise, families rise, because the shared hardship binds them. It teaches them that unity is not forged in comfort, but in crisis. That together, what once felt impossible becomes within reach. Strength is not loud. It does not always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it is quiet persistence, the choice to keep moving one step forward when every part of you wants to stop. Sometimes it is saying yes to another day, even when yesterday nearly broke you. Sometimes it is holding on to hope when the world seems determined to take it away. That is strength. Subtle, enduring, born in the furnace of challenge, shaping us into more than we were before. Leadership is never truly proven when the seas are calm, when the skies are clear, when the path forward is lined with certainty. Anyone can hold the wheel when the ship sails smoothly, but true leadership only reveals itself in the storm. It is in the moments of adversity, when fear threatens to consume and confusion blinds the way forward, that leaders step forth. They are not born in luxury or comfort. They are shaped by fire, tempered by trials, and defined by how they respond when everything seems to fall apart. Adversity is not the enemy of leadership. It is the very stage upon which leadership performs. Think of the moments in history when humanity looked to someone for direction, for courage, for hope. Rarely were these moments born in peace or plenty. They came in the darkest hours. Wars, crises, collapse, despair. And yet in those moments, voices rose, guiding others through the storm. That is the essence of leadership. It thrives not despite adversity, but because of it. Without adversity, leadership remains theory. With adversity, it becomes reality. When obstacles stand tall, the leader does not deny their presence. They do not pretend the danger is smaller than it is. Instead, they acknowledge the challenge, they face it head on, and they inspire others to do the same. Adversity strips away the illusions and forces people to see the truth. And in that truth, the leader's strength is revealed. Not in empty words, but in decisive action. Not in promises, but in the courage to stand when others sit, to walk forward when others retreat. Leaders in adversity become mirrors for those around them. When a leader remains calm, the people find calm. When a leader holds faith, the people find faith. When a leader refuses to surrender, the people discover they too can endure. Adversity presses down on the many, but it also presses up the one who dares to rise above it. That rise becomes the example that others follow. It is important to remember that adversity is never comfortable. It is never easy, and it never comes without scars, but scars themselves are proof of survival, proof that the leader has endured what they now ask others to endure. It is in that authenticity that leadership thrives. People do not follow titles, they follow resilience. They do not follow crowns, they follow conviction. In times of hardship, empty authority crumbles, but true leadership stands unshaken. Adversity forces decisions that comfort would never demand. It tests vision, demanding that the leader see further than the present pain. It tests courage, demanding that the leader step into the unknown without guarantees. It tests endurance, demanding that the leader continue long after others would have stopped. These are not burdens, these are the very opportunities that create greatness. Every challenge a leader faces is not only a test, but a chance to strengthen the bond with those they lead. In adversity, leaders walk alongside their people. They share the hardship, they share the fear, and they carry the weight together. That bond, formed in fire, is unbreakable. When the trials pass, the people do not forget who stood with them, who lifted them, who guided them through. That memory lasts far beyond the moment of crisis. Leadership thrives in adversity because adversity forces clarity. It strips away the noise, the distractions, the illusions of power. What remains is the core, the truth of who a leader really is. And in that truth, greatness either crumbles or it shines. Power alone can be loud. It can be intimidating. It can shake the ground with its force. But true power is not measured by the strength of one voice. It is measured by the harmony of many. Unity transforms individuals into something greater than themselves. A single drop of water is fragile, but when joined with countless others, it becomes a river that carves valleys, an ocean that shapes the very face of the earth. That is the essence of unity. It defines true power, not in isolation, but in togetherness. Throughout history, kingdoms have risen and fallen. Armies have triumphed and collapsed. Nations have thrived and crumbled. The pattern is always the same. Where there is division, weakness follows. But where there is unity, power grows. A divided people may have resources, may have knowledge, may even have strength in numbers. But without unity, those strengths scatter like dust in the wind. Yet when those same people stand as one, when they choose to bind themselves together under a shared vision, they become unshakable. The greatest empires were not built by individuals, but by united hearts and united hands. Unity does not mean uniformity. It does not demand that every voice be the same or every path identical. True unity is the ability to carry different perspectives, different strengths, and different dreams, yet align them toward a single purpose. Like an orchestra where violins, drums, flutes, and horns play different notes, yet together create music that moves the soul. Alone, each sound is incomplete, but together they become something timeless, something powerful. That is what unity creates, the power to achieve what no one could achieve alone. Adversity has a way of testing this unity. In moments of crisis, the temptation to fracture is strong. Fear drives people apart. Suspicion builds walls, and selfishness whispers that survival comes from isolation. But the leaders and communities who understand the true nature of power know otherwise. They know that only in standing together can storms be weathered. Only in holding on to each other can the weight of hardship be lifted. It is unity that transforms adversity into triumph. Consider the image of a single thread, weak, fragile, easily broken. But weave it with others and it becomes rope. Bind rope with rope and it becomes unbreakable. Human strength works the same way. Alone we are vulnerable. Together we are unstoppable. This is why unity defines true power. It multiplies what each person carries. It allows the weak to find strength in the strong, the uncertain to find courage in the brave, the hopeless to find faith in the hopeful. Unity also carries a power deeper than force. It creates belonging. It reminds every individual that they are part of something larger, that their efforts matter, that their voice contributes to the chorus. This sense of belonging fuels perseverance, it fuels loyalty, it fuels resilience. When people know they are not alone, they find a strength they never imagined. True power, the kind that endures, is not about domination, but about connection. It is not about one hand raised above others, but many hands lifting each other higher. Power that divides may win for a moment, but power that unites endures for generations. Because unity is not built on fear, it is built on trust. It is not forced, it is chosen. And when people choose to stand together, that power cannot be broken. Think of every great achievement in history. The building of cities, the revolutions that birthed nations, the movements that shattered injustice. None of these were the work of one. They were the work of many who stood as one. Their unity gave them the power to create change where change seemed impossible. Unity defines true power because it carries within it something eternal. A single life ends, a single leader falls, a single voice fades. But when people are united, the spirit continues, the power multiplies, the strength compounds, the legacy grows. And that is why unity, above all else, becomes the foundation of greatness. Criticism is something no one can escape. It comes like the wind, sometimes gentle, sometimes harsh, sometimes cutting deep into the soul. Words can sting, opinions can weigh heavy, and doubts from others can echo louder than our own voice. But criticism is not the end. It is not a wall that stops us. It is a mirror showing us not who we are, but who we can become. The true answer to criticism is not anger, not retreat, not silence. The true answer is growth. Every great figure in history has faced it. Innovators told their ideas would never work. Leaders told they were unfit to lead. Dreamers told their visions were impossible. Yet, what separated them from those who gave up was their response. They did not allow criticism to chain them. Instead, they used it as fuel. They listened, they reflected, and then they grew. For every voice that said, "You cannot," they chose to answer, "Watch me grow." Growth transforms criticism into a stepping stone. When someone points out a flaw, growth asks, "How can I improve?" When someone doubts your ability, growth replies, "Then I will sharpen it until there is no doubt." When someone mocks your dream, growth declares, "I will work until the dream stands tall enough that no laughter can bring it down." This is the silent power of growth. It takes negativity and turns it into progress. Criticism left unanswered can crush the spirit. It can make us believe we are less, that we are not capable, that we are unworthy. But criticism answered with growth flips the story. It becomes the very reason we rise. Each harsh word becomes a reminder to build. Each doubt becomes a reminder to persevere. Each rejection becomes a reminder to keep climbing. Without criticism, many would never have discovered just how far they could go. Growth is not about proving others wrong. It is about proving ourselves right. It is about looking in the mirror and saying, "I am better than I was yesterday." That quiet victory, repeated day after day, becomes a force no critic can break. Because eventually the criticism fades, but the growth remains. The beauty of growth is that it transforms weakness into strength. What once was clumsy becomes graceful. What once was shaky becomes steady. What once was small becomes powerful. And the journey itself teaches humility. To grow means to accept that we are not perfect, to accept that we can improve, to accept that even the sharpest criticism holds a lesson. Those who embrace this truth find themselves unstoppable because every attack becomes an opportunity. Criticism will always exist. The world will never run out of voices ready to doubt, to mock, to tear down. But growth gives us the final word, not in speeches, not in arguments, but in transformation. The best reply is progress. The best defense is success. The best answer is the person we become through the very struggle others thought would break us. Growth is patient. It does not happen overnight. and critics rarely see it as it unfolds. But time reveals it. The same voices that once mocked often fall silent in the face of undeniable change. And while their words may fade, the strength built from enduring them will carry on. To grow is to rise. To grow is to endure. To grow is to transform every criticism into a reminder that we are capable of more. That is why growth is not just a response. It is the ultimate answer to criticism.